but basically that's 3 out of 4 polls they need to qualify for the debate stage in October. This is fantastic news, and I mean, I'm not incredibly surprised by this, right? The odds do show that Tulsi is way more popular than what the DNC qualified polls are trying to pretend that she is, right? So for those of you who do not know, she qualified in, she got 2% or higher in about 26 polls total. Unfortunately, at the time, only 2 of those polls were DNC qualified polls. But the thing is, her average is about 3.3 to 3.4%, which means that if you took the average of all the polls, rather than just randomly picking based off of who's loyal to the Democratic Party or what organization is loyal to the Democratic Party, Tulsi would have been in the debates. The unfortunate truth of the matter is, Tom Steyer is already in the debates. He bought his way into the debates. He's got his 4th poll already. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But that just lets you know how billionaires can buy their way into the system, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's on the business side or in politics, unfortunately. But this is great news, right? And I have to give a huge shout out to just Tulsi's herself and their volunteer team and their staff. And the reason why is because as much as we've been pushing her, right, she's been getting suppressed on Twitter. She's been facing a lot of suppression on YouTube even. She's been, the big tech companies have definitely been going after her. And like Zach said, from the guy who wrote the open letter to Tulsi about what they did to her on the night she won the debate, Tulsi's being targeted. And so that means that she had to do a significant amount of on the ground work and basically have pinpoint execution. They've been doing that. They've been putting in the work on the ground, putting in the work in New Hampshire, putting in the work in Iowa. The volunteers who aren't even directly connected to the campaign have been putting the onus on themselves to get her name out there. And it's been lovely to see, not to take for granted. The digital activists, just as important. Correcting the record on Tulsi is just as important. Getting the information on Tulsi is just as important. Getting that information out there is just as important. But I just want to really, I feel like we should be giving credit to the staff, because that on the ground work with a very limited number of staff, for her to basically do what Tom Steyer did by buying his way into the debates, she's been building up that grassroots movement. And it shows that the smears are not working. Once you meet Tulsi, once you hear her, once you talk to her in person, whatever it is, you're won over. It's hard to not be won over by such a genuine, educated, and intelligent, well-meaning, and really a person that has displayed so much integrity, especially over the last 3 to 4 years, that it's very hard to believe smears once you meet her in person. So we are 1 poll away from the debate. One, just one. Keeping my hopes alive. Hopefully there's something larger than us in control that will put her in there in October. And I will tell you this though, and this is just as a personal opinion. Tulsi makes those October debates, or win, I should say, y'all should start panicking. Because remember, keeping her out of this debate was supposed to kill her campaign. Instead, she's gotten steadily more popular because they kept her out of the debates. Because that in and of itself has become a story. And because it's become a story, people start inquiring, and then it's the same type, you victimize the person who you're trying to, you attack her all the time, irrationally so, with smears. On top of that, she's the most Googled candidate twice. And then, whereas if this was any of the establishment people being the most Googled candidate, it would be celebrated across the board. But instead, they attack her even more. They doubled down on the attacks. And so because of that, they've created a victim out of her. And we all know, like in politics, when you create a victim out of somebody, like there are political repercussions for that. I just talked about this in my last video regarding impeachment. Bill Clinton had super low approval ratings. Then they impeached him, but they failed to impeach him, right? They didn't convict him. And therefore, he shot up in the polls right after that, making him much more popular than he was before. Granted, that's probably a bad example because Bill Clinton was kind of guilty and his offense probably should have been impeachable. But nonetheless, if you were unsuccessful in demonizing and denigrating the candidate or the politician that you want to denigrate, there will be political repercussions. We've seen it with Trump. His base has gotten more rowdy and more confident because they feel like they're untouchable. We've seen it in the past, and I don't think that's going to be any different with Tulsi. I think that the moment she hits that third debate, and she's the type of person that isn't going to take it for granted, clearly. When she's back on that debate stage, especially after they took her off, they're going to be like, hold on, well, how does she get back on? Oh, well, she's been on the ground campaigning her ass off. She fought her way back onto that debate stage, and it's going to draw even more attention that you kept her off the first debate and then kept her on the second debate or brought her back on the second debate. And then when they're going to go to Google and find shows like myself, when we're like, actually, the only reason she didn't make the third debate, or the third and rather than the fourth, was because they just didn't release any more polls. They just stopped at 7 or 8. And then they released the rest of the polls after the deadline, which is what kept her off this debate stage. And people are going to be like, what the hell? And the Democratic Party, once again, is going to face the consequences. So shout out to Tulsi Gabbard and their campaign. We're almost there. Keep spreading the truth, people. Thank you, Tulsi, for your dedication. Shout out to her, making it very clear. She says she's in this to the convention. And hey, right there with you, T. Other than that, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.